Once upon a time in PHC, a married couple gave birth to the cutest kid. Destined to preach the hand of God was upon him. But the road ahead of him wasn't easy until he found Christ, whose yoke is easy. Now everything is easy peasy weezy for cheesy. Really easy picking cheese mixed with joyful living. When you give your life to Christ, life is sweet and creamy. Yum yum, tastes like heaven on a bed of roses. Come, I see some say that's not the way it is. But you don't know the power Jesus gives. You carry your cross after the cross with power he gives thee. Power that exceeds the wildest dreams and fantasies of Samson. Yep, the power of the Spirit. Problem is you don't know the power given to thee or how to use it, so I'm here to teach thee.
Hey everybody, I'm Alfred, and I want to talk about the situation in Nigeria with what Tinubu did with the electricity price increase. I'll say several things that we need to take note of. Of course, we all know how terrible everything has been under Tinubu, and before Tinubu came to power, I talked about the direction that Nigeria will head in if that's what to happen. But Tinubu has stolen his way into power, and we are here now. I'll say this. First of all, what you have to know is that there are two sides of a coin. When it comes to commerce, when one person is in debt, one other person is being owed. One other person is making money. So with the case of the electricity situation, that means more money for companies that generate electricity, like Jeregu PLC, which is traded on the stock exchange. There are several other companies that are traded on this stock exchange. Invest in them. When you see a situation, for example, if fuel price keeps increasing, what does that mean? That those who are selling fuel, they are going to charge more money in the future. So what is the current value today on the books of that company is going to be way more in the future on a numbers basis. So buy shares now. So when you say this kind of thing, as long as you know this is what is going to happen, it is a clear indicator, and this is something that value investors, real investors look at. There are certain indicators that are dead ringers, and they are for sure. It means what it means. So when you see that the price of electricity is going high, invest in companies that's like Jeregu Power Plants. Femi Otedola is one of the key owners of that company. So keep in mind that Tinubu himself has invested in these companies. And Tinubu does not care about the Nigerians. He does not care about the average Nigerian. These politicians do not care. So they are making money. They know what they are doing. By increasing the tariff, that means these companies are going to generate and make more money. So number one, so that you can stay afloat and maintain your standard of living or increase financially, but maintaining your standard of living, invest in such companies. Number two, another thing you can do is that this is a market for the solar industry, solar batteries, solar panels, and all that. Some of you will look into retailing these things, buying and installing, starting a business off of buying and installing. That is not where you should look. What you should look at is manufacturing. And I'm going to go into this later, and I would like to most of you to reach out to us at Alfred and Friends, so that we can actually start this. There needs to be a solar manufacturing plant in Nigeria and a solar battery manufacturing plant. That is going to be a lot of money, especially now with the increased tariffs on NEPA and other PSN and whatever they call themselves these days. Understand that Nigeria has a population of hundreds of millions of people. It's uncounted, but that is a low estimate. It's actually way more. The number of Nigerians are a lot. So imagine all these people using your products. There are products that are luxury items. There are products that some people may use, may not use. But now, especially in this situation, we now see the importance of items like food. Those who invested in food and farming the right way, those are the people that are going to save Nigeria as well as make a lot of money in Nigeria. Otherwise, there's going to be great famine coming to Nigeria. Great hunger is going to come to Nigeria. And because of the number of people, there's going to be violence. There's going to be a lot of stealing, a lot of robbing to survive, a lot of people, and the left is going to open channels for a lot of guns to be put. So when there are a lot of militants, a lot of guns, there will be a lot of fighting, shooting, struggle to keep order, and a lot of people who are out of hunger and out of other reasons doing everything to grab as much as they can, and then there will be a lot of people flee Nigeria. So we need to, number one, pray to avert this, but more than prayer, action. We can stop this because look at the north. First of all, they closed the border. A lot of food that is eaten in Nigeria comes from outside. So once the currency is doing what it's doing, food that is coming from Europe and other international markets become more expensive, and it becomes a problem because the naira keeps dropping daily. Then with the closing of the northern border, closing borders with other nations that Tinubu did, because the France and foreign powers told him to do it, because like in Nigeria where they planned the so-called coup, what does that concern Nigeria? We still trade with these people. The food comes from there. Then the food that is grown in the north, terrorists are there killing people. They themselves are not planting anything. They are actually taxing farmers, which we are paying for. Because when they tax farmers, that you have to pay so and so money before you can farm, the farmer is going to pass that cost down to the consumer. So we are being taxed by Boko Haram. Everybody in Nigeria is being taxed for food by Boko Haram. So it creates even more scarcity and more lack. So all these things, and then to make matters worse, Tinubu is there capturing and imprisoning the executive from Binance. So a lot of people are looking like, wow, this might be my fate if I do business in Nigeria. A lot of people will not want to do business in Nigeria. A lot of people will run. And keep in mind, I have said it before, business opportunities, every investment opportunity is in competition with another investment opportunity. For example, if by investing in A, you can get a 10% return on investment, but by investing in B, you can get a 20% return on investment. Why will you invest in A? B is going to give you 20% return on investment. Now let's talk about safety. Even if, let's say there is an option C that gives 100% return of investment, but the risk is so high that terrorists can come at any time and you lose everything, you will still go to B. Let me be here in safe and get my 20% return on investment. So you have to understand that the insecurity, the unsafety, plus Tinubu himself, the government himself is terrorizing and wanting to fleece. Because what they want from Binance is for Binance to give them money. Tinubu wants to take a lot of money from Binance. That's what it's about. But because anybody who wants to claim that Binance is affecting negatively the Nigerian economy is crazy. If anything, is helping because it has created a safety net for people to store their money, because the reality of the matter is that the naira keeps dropping and it will keep dropping. So there's no safety net. And you can't trade by barter assets consistently or in all matters. And many people don't even understand that word. It's a very complex world. Even I have to do more studies on doing that kind of thing because it is really not done. Because there have been no use to do it. So they have been acceptable means of exchange called currency that people have been using. So since the number one acceptable means of exchange, the naira keeps dropping, what is the point? And that is why banks were actually giving people loans and asking for collateral based on dollar, because the dollar was more stable than the naira. So it is actually by banning that, it may seem like a good thing, but it's a bad thing for the banks, because now the banks don't have an incentive to lend out money. And that is how banks make money. Why would a bank give you naira? Let's say a bank gives you a loan for 1 million naira today, that you are going to pay back 1.2 million naira in next month. By next month, the value of 1.2 million naira will be the same thing as the value of 20 naira. So the bank is making a lot of loss. So how will the bank survive? So the banks needed something stable, and that is why they were asking for, collateral in dollar. And as a matter of fact, asking for collateral in dollar is safer, and it's economics, because collateral is different from payback. But they wanted something, because the reality of the matter is that they want, if the value of the naira drops, they want what you give back to match that drop. So let's say you collected 1 million from a bank, you are supposed to give them 1.2 million, but the value of the naira drops within 1 month 50%. So now they want you to add 50%. So it's not 1.2. So it's now 1.2 million plus 50% of that added because of inflation. That is what they want you to pay back. So that is just mathematics. The banks have to do that. Otherwise, they will be at a loss, and the banks will not lend, because the banks have to make money. And banks have means. A lot of these banks in Nigeria are international. So they are now going to more or less fire a lot of Nigerian employees and focus on their overseas ventures. And those who have connections will now leave the country and or look for a way to be posted to branches outside Nigeria. That is what is going to happen as long as the naira keeps dropping. And if the primary way of a lot of these banks making money is just by giving out loans, because that is for a lot of banks over 50% of how they make their money. But that is a reality. So people don't understand economics and mathematics, but they want to get into politics and make financial decisions. It's very unfortunate. So what the bankers are doing is understandable for them to survive, because the naira keeps dropping. If I give you, because it's also a trick, if I ask you for $5,000 today, and I know that the value of $5,000 is going to drop tomorrow, and by the time I'm giving you back the $5,000 plus, let's say that you ask for $100 interest, or okay, let's say $1,000 interest. By the time I'm giving you back the $6,000, that's a $1,000 interest. By the time I'm giving you back, the value is so low. What is the point of you giving me the money? You have made a loss. I have made a profit. And this is something that people understand who do economics. They understand this. And that is why a lot of people stretch payments over a long period of time. They know what they are doing. And that is why some companies buy on credit, and then they stretch payments. All these things are tricks. They know what they are doing. And this is also why there are some companies that own branches in places that are weird. It's because of the currency exchange. So they will buy it from their branch in one other country. But what they are doing is they are manipulating currency. They are looking at currency changes. So that is what they are maneuvering, so that they can get the cheapest price. It is not like that branch is important to them, but that branch gives them access to commandeer making orders with lower currencies, and also to evade certain taxes. So that is the thing that you have to understand. That being said, back to the electricity situation, there needs to be the creation of solar manufacturing plants. There is the issue of inviting a foreign company, or learning from a foreign company, or partnering with a foreign company to start a local plant. Because keep in mind, solar panels, the primary ingredients or component of a solar panel is silica gel, which is gotten from silicon, which is gotten from sand. There's a lot of sand everywhere. Solar panels come from sand. There's a lot of sand everywhere, especially in the north. So there's sand everywhere. And, the material that is used for making solar panels, a lot of it is in the north. A lot of these things can be mined from Nigeria. So there needs to be, and there's that opportunity for it. There's also the situation of course, politicians who will now want to come and dip their hand into everything and ruin everything, and then results in increased price and all of that. So if the Nigerian politicians make it difficult, then you can try doing it in Ghana or Niger or somewhere around West Africa, or perhaps even South Africa, somewhere else in Africa, but that opportunity is there. So you have to look at the both sides of what is happening. And remember what I said about investing in companies, that are involved in creating electricity, because now they are going to make a lot of money. Tinubu makes a lot of his money from stocks. That is where his money comes from. He is a co-owner of a lot of companies, a lot of big giant companies in Nigeria. That is where Tinubu's money comes from. So he understands the stock market, and he knows what he's doing, and he knows why he increased those tariffs. There are a lot of people who look at, and it seems that a lot of their plans for Nigeria is to tax the people. But taxation has never created a great economy, and you cannot tax people when they are hungry and the business environment is so terrible. And you think that that's a good strategy. You are only restricting it so much, and creates a situation where a lot of people who have something to offer are doing everything they can to leave the country. So that has to be done. Then when it comes to the food aspect, because hunger is coming to Nigeria, there needs to be farms, a lot of farms. And I'm talking about proper farming. We need to learn how to do farming, not the way our parents did farming, not the way our ancestors did farming, but the way the white man does farming. The way the white man does farming is such that when you go to every shop in Africa, what you see is products from white companies produced in one farm somewhere in Europe, one white man's village in Europe, or one white man's village in America or in Canada. The way they do farming is the way that we need to start doing farming. We need to stop with all this, I need to go to school to only learn how to work for another man and to work in a white collar job. You need to be wise. Make farming something, do it properly. And you will make billions. Remember I said there are hundreds of millions of Nigerians. All these people are going to eat food. And a lot of banks are happy. When they see you have a good business plan, they'll be happy to invest in food. A lot of people, a lot of companies like Indomie and all of that, a lot of people who are in the food industry in Nigeria are not involved in the roots aspect of farming. They are involved in creating a brand, like a branded bread or a branded noodle or a branded it's already a product. But what about the ingredients that are gotten from the ground to make these things? They buy it from other countries. They buy it from outside. And those things are subject to forex, so it's a problem. As long as it is subject to forex and the naira keeps dropping, that creates a problem, and there will be hunger in Nigeria. So it's very important that real farming is done. People, perhaps I'm looking at starting a company that will actually create a situation where, because a lot of people rent, even in your rented apartments and all of that, you can farm something, you can grow something, and you can sell something, perhaps a website online where people can sell oranges or whatever. You can grow perhaps ugu or whatever, in your backyard or in a nursery, or perhaps in a room in your home or somewhere, because there are different kinds of plants. There are plants that don't need to grow tall, and of course there's vertical farming. I'll look into, and I'll need most of you to reach out to me, because we need to do that. Vertical farming is a style of farming where, like, you can think of a skyscraper that has different offices inside. But this is vertical farming is like, think of a skyscraper, but instead of offices is layers for plants and nurseries. Some plants don't grow tall like Iroko, so there's enough space. So even with a little piece of land, you can grow a lot when you think of and when you do vertical farming. So there just needs to be a very huge huge high structures where different layers of plants and there's famine, then there are roads to walk. It doesn't have to, it won't be like a real normal building, but it'll be a building and a structure just for farming and plants. You know, somebody can climb the stairs and there are lifts also where people can walk around, water the plants and check stuff, and, you know, also pick oranges, and also, you know, make sure there are no pests and all those kinds of things. And a lot of this has to be done even in the rural areas. There has to be space for vertical farms in the rural areas and for them to be monitored and maintained properly. And that is how Nigeria is going to escape famine. You know, otherwise famine is going to come. And by famine, I'm talking about FAMINE, you know. So it is what it is. Make sure you reach out to me, you know. My details on AskAlfredOnline, you know. We need to talk more about that, and I'm serious about that. I'll need investors, and I'll need people with farming expertise, and I'll also talk to reach out to certain companies and people also as well, you know. So we have to do that, you know. Otherwise, you know, it's going to be a disaster for Nigeria down the line. That being said, thank you and God bless you.
Say this prayer audibly if you've not given your heart to Jesus Christ. Dear God, I believe in my heart that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, came, died, and was raised from the dead to save me. I confess Him, Lord, over my life, and ask You to give me Your Holy Spirit to live within me. I receive Your Spirit by faith, and thank You for I am now born again. In Jesus' name, amen. If you just prayed that prayer, congratulations, you're now a Christian. Go to AskAlfredOnline and get resources that will help you with your work with God.